Today our discussion is about Jahiliyyah and why it is so significant in the history of Islamic studies or in Islamic story. Why it is so significant, the pre-prophetic era. That is our main discussion in this class. Jahiliyyah means actually the ignorance. In the time of prophet, in the coming of prophet, we know that the Muhammad became the prophet at his 40 years old. Then at the same time, the scenario or socio-political or cultural or religious scenario of the Arab world, especially his own tribe, Quraysh, became so problematic at that time, and there were many stigma and many dogmas and many instabilities, uncertainties, and many ambiguous, dubious ideas among the Arab people at that time. So we have to study this pre-prophetic era to have an nuanced understanding of the message of Prophet Muhammad. If you haven't studied the Jahili period or this pre-period, we were not able to understand the proper picture of the message of Islam or message of Prophet Muhammad that he introduced in the Arab society. First, the Jahiliyyah, as I said before, it means ignorance. But some people, most of the historians say, use this Jahiliyyah as a time, like an era, like pre-prophetic era. Actually, it does not mean or does not related to any specific time. It means it's a state or a situation of a person or a place or a time that you are being in Jahiliyyah because you are in ignorance. That is just a noun. It's not related to any time or spaces. We can say the Jahiliyyah still exists now. So Jahiliyyah itself means that it's an ignorance, it's not properly or totally related to any time and space. But the historians, especially Islamic historians or the historians who wrote Islamic history, they always categorize the time pre-prophetic era and they name that time as a Jahili period. But when we search this word Jahiliyyah in early or in the Islamic texts like Hadith or Quran, we can see that four Jahiliyyah words can be seen in Holy Quran. One is Hamiyatul Jahiliyyah. That means Hamiyatul Jahiliyyah. It was mentioned in Surah Fatah 26 ayats. Hamiya means vengeance or hatred. In the Arabian time, in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as I said before, the Hamiya means the vengeance or the hatred. Then the Jahiliyyah means the Jahiliyyah of the hatred or vengeance at that time. In the Arab society, they used to do war. There were many conflicts among this tribal society at that time. There are many incidents. If you have a camel and that camel went to another tribe's well and he drank the water, then the war will be started at that time. It is for silly reasons. And if you attack any other tribal person, it became another reason of the another war. So this is kind of hatred at the society that were existed at that time, and still the idea of Hamiya or hatred can relate it to the present scenario, and this hatred or enmity, hostility, atrocity, all are related to Hamiyatul Jahiliya, or the hatred of Jahiliya. So, the Hamiyatul Jahiliya, and another one, and another, the Hamiyatul Jahiliya's another second idea, that is a Hukumul Jahiliya. Hukum means law and regulations, we know that. Then the Hukumul Jahiliya, the Jahiliyat of these laws and regulations. At that time there was so inequality, injustice, and mighty. They use the mighty to utilize to suppress the oppressed people or marginalized people. And the hierarchy, actually the hierarchy is everywhere, but at the same time it was so worst scenario in the pre-prophetic or the prophetic era. And the hierarchy and the male chauvinism and the male dominance. And there's a ayats in Surah Takwir, in 8 to 9 ayats, verses فَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. It means when the girl, infant who was buried alive, is asked for what sin was killed. At that time, some of Arab people, they used to kill their girl infant because of this femininity, because of they were born as girls, so they used to kill them. That was the ignorance. So these type of idea or laws and regulations and norms are totally prevailed at that time. And the third significant term that was mentioned in Quran related to Jahiliyyah, that is Lonul Jahiliyyah. It was mentioned in Surah Ali Imran 15:4, means 154. That is the number of ayats. The word is Lonul Jahiliya. Lon means all kinds of speculations, assumptions, and ambiguous thoughts that deviate the humankind from the right path. That is a Lonul Jahiliya. And the shirk or kufur or any kind of concept that totally deviate the man from the right path, that is known as Lonul Jahiliya. So, and this Lonul Jahiliya also mentioned in Surah Quran. And this idea, shirk, all these peoples consider the angels are the sister or the daughters of God, and they considered jinn as the gods at that time. When they used to go to any mountain area. Which part? Okay, Lunnul Jahiliya, it means uh, assumptions or all kind of speculations and ambiguous, dubious thoughts that deviate from you from the right path. And now we can relate the one means all these kind of speculations, because these speculations, these assumptions, these concepts, misconcepts will deviate from the right path. So we will lead you to the wrong way. So these Lonul Jahiliya also still prevailing in this contemporary scenario. That's why I said Jahiliya does not mean related to any specific time or the time of history. It is still prevailing in the contemporary area. It's a state or it's a situation. And as I said before, these people, they consider angels as a daughter of Allah or daughter of God, and they consider jinn as a the gods of mountains. When they used to go to any hill area, they used to pray to the jinn to protect them from any kind of harms that will happen from that region. So this kind of idea about this uh, metaphysical region or about malak means angels or jinn or any kind of idea, and that are totally related to shirk. We know that because they shirk also another kind of a misconception about the tawheed. They want to make some other powers as a partner to the god or with the god. So it means the shirk. The shirk also some a kind of deviated concept at that time. So all these Lanul Jahiliya, and the fourth one that is related to Jahiliya, that is a Tabarrujul Jahiliya, that was mentioned in Surah Ahzab 33 number ayat. The Tabarrujul Jahiliya, it means the immorality, unethical situation, or lack of self-respect. Actually, the Imam Tabari, he mentioned the meaning of Tabarruj in his Tafsir Tabari, like Ilharul Zina wa Ibrasul Mar'a Mahasinaha Lirijal, means to show your beauty to others. Means you have a beauty, you can keep that, but you show it to others. So that is a kind of immoral activities or unethical. So this idea also prevailed in the Arab society. And so the Tabarrujul Jahiliya, Hukumul Jahiliya, Lunnul Jahiliya, and Hamiyatul Jahiliya. These all kind of Jahiliyas are mentioned in these different surahs in the Holy Quran. And there are many hadiths also that were reported in hadith works, means hadith compilation. One is the most famous report about the Jahiliyyah, that is when Hazrat Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu, he called Hazrat Bilal as a son of a black woman. It was very humiliated at that time. Then Hazrat Bilal, he went to Prophet Muhammad and complained to Prophet Muhammad. Then Prophet Muhammad criticized Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu, like innaka mru'un fikal jahiliya. You are a man. You are still in the jahiliya. Actually, Abu Dharr, he was a great Sahabi or great companion of Prophet Muhammad. Still, the Prophet Muhammad criticized Abu Dharr that you are still in Jahiliyyah, because the humiliating others in the name of color, in the name of any kind of discrimination, that means the Jahiliyyah. So there are many incidents also we can be seen in hadith, in the prophetic traditions, in different works. And why? This is why we discuss why Jahiliyyah is so important in the Islamic history. So all these viciousness, all these problematic situations that were prevalent in the Arab world, then there was a necessity of a prophecy, of a guidance for the people to the right path. That was the necessity of the prophecy at that time. So, there must be a man who has a good character, good personality, and distinguished manner, and some kind of miracles to lead the people towards the good path or the right path. That was the necessity of the prophecy at that time. And what the Prophet Muhammad did for the society. Then we have to discuss about the main idea that were taught by Prophet Muhammad for these people from to protect these people from the Jahiliyyah. Then what was the main idea of Prophet Muhammad? When we discuss about these ideas, then we can get the full picture of the message of Prophet Muhammad that liberated these people from the Jahiliyyah. Then this Islam became an alternative from this hamiyatul jahiliya, that means vengeance and hatred, from the hukumul jahiliya, that means injustice and unequal laws and regulations, and from the lonul jahiliya, all kind of miscalculations, speculations, assumptions, and shirk and kufur, and the last one is tabarruj jahiliya, all kind of immoral activities and unethical activities. So then Islam became alternative for all these problems, and Islam became salvation for these people from any kind of mundane worldly problems. There is important significant historical event that happened in prophet's era, when his one of his famous sahabi Ribi bin Amir Ansari radhiyallahu anhu, he when he went to Rustam's palace, then the Rustam means the ruler of Persia. He asked this Sahabi why did he came to him. Then Rabi Amr Ansari replied to him that ibta'asana Allahu li ikhraj man yasha min ibadatil ibadi ila ibadatillahi wahdah wa min jawril adyani ila adlil islam wa min liqid dunya ila sa'atid dunya wal akhirah. He said the main fundamental three factors that Islam contributed to other society. He said that Allah sent us to liberate the people from the slavery of the slaves towards the slavery of the God. Min ibadatul ibadi means slavery of the slaves, means the people, the all Arabs and non-Arabs all were slave owners at that time, and the people were suppressed, marginalized, they were utilized by the owners. So the Rabi bin Amr Ansari said that we came to you, or Allah sent to you, sent us to you to liberate the people from the slavery of slaves to have the slavery of the God. Wamin Jawril Adyani ila Adril Islam, to from liberate the people from all kind of atrocities of these adyan, these deens, these religions, these ideas. Min Jawril Adyani ila Adril Islam, towards the justice of Islam. We came for that, or Allah sent us for that. Or the third one, the last one, he said, فَمِنْ لِيقِ الدُّنْيَا إِلَىٰ سَعَةِ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. Allah sent us to liberate the people from the rigidity, narrowness of the world to the vastness of this world and hereafter. That was the main idea which mentioned in the speech of Rabi bin Amr Ansari to the Rustam, the ruler of Persia at that time. So this idea, liberation and the salvation, liberation from any kind of suppressions, inequality, discrimination, marginalization at that time, and Islam became blessing. We know that Allah, the God Himself, introduced to us that He is Rabbul Alameen, the Rabb of the manager, the Khalik means the creator, the manager, the preserver of whole universes. And he said, Rahmatul lil Alameen, Rahmatul lil Alameen. He sent Prophet Muhammad as a mercy of whole worlds, whole universe, not only for the Muslims, not only for the followers of Prophet Muhammad, for all who are accept the idea of Prophet Muhammad. Is the Rahmatul lil Alameen. Means Islam became a mercy, Islam became blessing, all of who are followers or to all over the world. And Islam provides the right path, means Hudal lin Nas, right path for the people. Nas means the people. Islam does not connected to the Muslims. Islam for all people, Hudal lin Nas. And Quran says the Islam as a Furqan. There is a Quran, there is another word for the Quran, that is Furqan. Furqan means it's a distinguisher between right or wrong way. That's why Prophet Muhammad gave the name Farooq for the Hazrat Umar, because he was a distinguisher from the right to wrong paths at that time. And Islam provides the freedom from the slavery and chain of any kind of burdens and any kind of suppressions. There is a word riqab in Quran. There are many kind of suppressions and slavery at that time, the physical slavery and mental slavery too. This the riqab means burden, also mentioned in the Quran. And Islam came to the people for the freedom of their own for their own freedom. And Islam provide the meaning of life. In the Jahili period, there was any kind of meaning for the life. They just born and grow and die. They don't have any kind of conception about the meaning of life, the idea of life. They just live their life at that time. So Islam provide a meaning of the life, and Islam discuss about why we were created, what is our goal, what is our message, what is our responsibility toward ourselves and toward the society. And Islam provide the structure, system, limits and boundaries at that time. Because at the in the Jahili period, the pre-prophet period, there was not any kind of structure. Okay, there was a structure, tribal society, and they have power, they are the leader, they lead everything, they manage everything, but the people could not participate. The women, they could not participate. The slaves, the lower strata of the society, they were not able to participate in the structure and the system of the society. But Islam provide the structure, and Islam provide the system for everybody. And Islam provided these limits. We have limits. Okay, we have boundaries. Without limits or boundaries, there will not be any structure. Okay, we have half and half node. We have yes and no's. We have pros and cons. And if you don't have boundary, it means limitless. Okay, we have limitless ideas. You can earn whatever you want with the criteria of halal and haram. That was the structure of Islam. And Islam teaches the responsibility and accountability. There was any kind of idea of responsibility or accountability in the Jahili period. And the people, there was an ayat in Surah Takasur, summa latus'alunna yawma idin anin na'im, because you must be asked, or you must be questioned about the barakah, about the ni'mah, or about the blessing that have been given to you, because you must be questioned. So Islam taught the people to be responsible. Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi. Prophet Muhammad said once, all are shepherds, means you must be asked about your own, means the shepherds means these goats. It means you are a leader, you must be asked about your own people. And another point, Islam teach about the rights. There is a significant word that mentioned in the Quran and Hadith and all Islamic texts, that is haqq. There are three meanings of this haqq. The haqq means. Haqq means one, the truth, the ultimate truth, always related to the God or Islam. And the second meaning, haqq means the responsibility. And third one, haqq means the right. All three things are interconnected. If you have a right, and the same time if you have a responsibility too. And the haqq means the truth. Then the truth, this right and responsibility, all these things are coming from the truth, means the haqq, that means the God. Then Islam provides this idea about the responsibility, about the right. The people, the slaves or the women and their suppressed strata of the society at that time, they could not think about their right, but Islam taught them to be free from these kind of burdens, to think about their own freedom, about their right. That this is why the Allahu Akbar became the biggest slogan at that time. Or still, Allahu Akbar means Allah is the great, nobody else above Him. Allah is the great. La ilaha illallah means there is only one God, nobody else. It means if you are a follower of Islam, you don't have to submit yourself anybody others except Allah. Then that is this idea provided a specific kind of liberal or this liberation or freedom at that time, and Islam provided clarity from any kind of ambiguous, dubious assumptions and concept. If Islam provided purity, purity of inner self and outer self, physically and mentally. Like you have to be pure as inner self and out self. And Islam put forward the concept of hope and optimism. You know, if you are a believer, you must have an hope. That is why Quran or Prophet Muhammad or Islam gives the human society the concept of tawbah, repentance. Or Prophet Muhammad named himself as a Nabiyut Tawbah, Nabi, the prophet of Tawbah. There are many hadiths that is mentioned in many hadith works. The Prophet Muhammad saying, the God is waiting for you. At-Taibu Habibullah. If you are a repentant, if you are try to apologize towards the God, then you became the Habib of Allah, the beloved of Allah. Then and Islam provide the love to all. We know that at that time in the prophetic era or the pre-prophetic era or the Jahili era, the love, it means always connected to some kind of segment of the society. They didn't love all the people, but Islam provide you, if you are a Muslim, you have to love all. Then Islam provide the concept of love and respect, because you are a human being. Walakad karamna bani Adam. The Quran says we respect, means Allah. Allah says we respect all sons of Adam. Means Allah Himself gives the respect for the human society. Then, as a human being, we have to respect ourselves and others also. Islam gives the dignity and self-affirmation. So these all idea that been provided by the Islam, by the Prophet Muhammad, and he taught the society. Prophet Muhammad taught the society of especially the Arabian society. This is why they liberated from the old concept of Jahiliyyah at that time. So this is why the Jahiliyyah discussion is so significant in the Islamic studies discussions, especially in the Islamic history. Thank you.